3 desires I give you, my child, she said, and 3 into Ibronka's hand. 3 duties I give you, my child, she said. Then old Crow Crone, a shape of shadows, a shadow of shapes, tattered feathers hanging at her naked armpits, fixed her yellow yawning eye upon the girl, bent her face down towards the girl, fastened her dried, cracked lips upon the girl's lips, and a breath of memory, my child. And with that, Ibronka's body moved, surged back into its grave. And from that grave, one single red rose grew, with 9 ruby red petals. And the perfume of that rose was so sweet, you can taste it like a pool of honey upon your tongue. Now, one day, a handsome prince was galloping past that place with one of his manservants, and as he did so, he smelt that perfume of that rose, and he said to the manservant, "Go and get me that rose, please," because princes don't do that kind of thing. And so the servant went over, and he tried to tug the rose from the stem, but it would not come. And so the prince leapt off his horse, went over, and no sooner had his hand reached up towards the rose, it dropped itself into the palm of that hand, and it smelled so good. And that prince, he took that rose and he put it inside his jerkin, and he ran all the way back to the palace, and he placed it on the mantelpiece of the dining room so he could admire it as he ate. Now it was the prince's custom to always leave a little bit of food on his plate after his last meal in order to break his fast in the morning. And the next morning, when the servant came down to see if everything was correct, well, that plate was empty, totally empty. And he asked the prince, and the prince said that he had left food on the plate. And the servant was perplexed. And so he decided that that night he would hide himself, and he would see who was coming to eat the food. Perhaps it was a rodent of some sort. And so that servant was very shocked to see, at the stroke of midnight, that rose on the mantelpiece shift shape into the shape of a woman, who clambered off the mantel, went, ate the food that was on the table, clambered back up, shook, shifted, shaped herself back into a rose. Bob's your uncle. Well, the servant couldn't wait to tell the prince. The prince was amazed. He said he would watch it himself. And so that night the prince hid himself like a bruise in the shadows. And at the stroke of midnight, he saw that rose shake, shift shape into the shape of a beautiful woman, eyes blue, blue like the sea. And she clambered off the mantelpiece. And as she clambered off the mantelpiece, why, her hips swayed in such a way it seemed to make a song that wrapped itself around that prince's heart and pulled a little bit. He could not contain himself. He leapt forward. He held her. He showered her face with kisses. He said, "I love you. Marry me." "Who are you?" And Ibronka, she shook her head. She only had a breath of memory. "I think my name is Ibronka," she said. "Where are you from?" "From the dark shadows." "Fine," he said. "Marry me. You're beautiful." And Ibronka, she thought for a moment. She said, "I will marry you on one condition. You never ask me to go into a churchyard, into a church." The prince said, "Why?" "I do not know," she said. "It's just a feeling I have." The prince did not care. And so it was that the prince and Ibronka were married. And when she agreed to be his dutiful wife there at the wedding that took place in the palace, she was surprised to see a drop of blood come from her hand. One drop of duty shed, one drop of duty bled. And the year passed, and she was happy with her prince. She liked his lightness, his perfume. And at the end of the year, she gave birth to a beautiful boy, a beautiful son. And as she pushed him out, as she held him cradled in her arms, she felt something trickle from her head, and she wiped it. One dream bled, one dream shed. And the boy, he was delightful. And when the time came for his christening, the king, as he was now, turned to her and said, "You must come, you are the queen, you need to come to the christening." And Ibronka said, "No, no, you promised me I would not have to go to the church, I would not have to go through a churchyard." And the king, he was angry. "Come," he said, "why do you not want to go?" "I don't know," she answered, "it's just a feeling I have." Men hate women saying they have feelings. But the king, he squashed down his anger till it was like a tiny pebble in his chest. And another year passed, and another child, and when Ibronka pushed out her second son once more, there was something there at her head. One dream shed, one dream bled. And when it was time for the christening, the prince once more turned up. "Come," he said, "you must come, you are the queen." But Ibronka, she couldn't. "Please," she said, "no, no, don't make me. Something will happen." "You," said the prince. "You," said that king as he was now. "How can you say that something will happen?" "It's just a feeling," she said. And he squashed down the anger. It was like a rock in his chest. And down in the village, the people had started to whisper about the queen. They say she walks by the moon's pale light. They say she sings strange lullabies. Little whisperings like little threads making a knot, but that knot could not penetrate the narrow windows of the castle. And so another year passed, and another child, this time the most beautiful baby girl. And as Queen Ibronka held her and looked at her, the last dream was shed, the last dream was bled. And this daughter, she had the sweetest nature, and it could calm the wildest seas, but it could not calm the mutterings down in the village. "Oh, my hens won't lay, my cow's gone dry, my children are sick, you know the queen, we hear she is a witch." Oh God, that word, such potency, such power, it fastened itself like a grapple hook there in the castle, and all of those other whisperings, they snaked up behind it, they slithered into the shadows, they clambered over the corridors, they beat up in the bedroom, and they hit the ears of the king. And he turned to his queen and said, "You will come. You will come to our daughter's baptism. You will come to her christening. It is your duty as the queen." Ibronka could not argue this time. And so she prepared herself. She dressed herself, every layer of possible armour against what she did not know. She just felt that something would go wrong. And she assembled with her sons. She held her daughter, and she held her husband's hand, and they walked, they processed to the church. And how the people gaped and gawped, and how the people gawped and gaped. But Ibronka, she looked ahead, and the king, he did not notice his wife's face. He just looked at the people, and he felt something wet on his hand, and when he lifted it, there was blood there. Blood shed from his wife, Queen Ibronka. Another drop of duty shed, another drop of duty bled. And they arrived at the church. Through the churchyard, they arrived at the church, and she stood there, and she waited. She waited for what she did not know, but she felt, and she heard the doors open, and she heard a clitter, clatter, clatter, clitter, and she heard a voice. "Pretty Maid Ibronka, I said I would search for you." God, that voice, that lovely truffled voice. She felt a shot of desire through her chest, and when she looked down, there was blood upon the white bodice of her dress, like a poppy in a field of snow. And the smell, the salty scent of him, Another shot of desire, another poppy in that field of snow. And she could not help herself. She turned, and there he was, wide-shouldered, slim-hipped, dark-haired, full-lipped, strong-armed, firm-thighed, warm-voiced, brown-eyed. Another shot of desire through her chest, the third poppy in the field of snow. And the devil looked at her, and he said, "I will come tonight. Be ready for me." And with that he was gone. And Dubravka turned, and she saw her husband's face, and she stayed his questions with her hand. And they returned to the palace. And how the people gaped and gawped, and how the people gawped and gaped, and this time the king noticed the pale look on his wife's face.